Hi, my name is Ian Richardson from Perma-Grit Tools, and over the last 10 to 15 years we've developed a range of products which were used primarily for model builders but have since been used by Formula One teams, full-size aircraft builders, DIY and many other industries. The tools are actually made by welding tungsten carbide grit to steel. This makes the tools extremely hard wearing and effective. They will cut in any direction and do not lose their edge like conventional products. So now what we're going to do is show you some of the tools cutting these products. Let's start off with common material used in aeromodelling, and that is polystyrene foam. This is actually not the easiest material to cut with conventional tools because it tends to tear. Now if we just take one of the tools and try cutting some of this, you'll see the effectiveness of this product. As stated before, the tools cut in any direction, so because they cut both ways, they never chip or tear the product. And as you can see, we've got a very nice fine finish there. The next material we'll cut is balsa wood. So using the same tool, let's cut some. As we can see, it's a clean cut again. Cutting in both directions, it leaves a perfect finish both ways. Next we'll cut some plywood, again using the same tool. First of all, we'll cut a piece of 1/8 light ply. Notice how clean the cut is again. All these cuts are actually done with the coarse grit tools, which is the ones that we recommend for most modelling needs. The fine tools are just used for fine finishing. I also have some much thinner plywood here. This is mirror ply, and I'll just show you that it will cut this again without chipping or tearing. Again, perfect cut in both directions. As I said before, these tools are extremely effective on all composite material and are used for building light aircraft and also used by all the Formula One racing teams. So let's cut some carbon fibre now. Again, as you can see, it cuts without chipping or tearing, even the gel coat. And although the tool can look as if it may be clogged with the black carbon fibre, generally a couple of sharp taps on the table will clear most of the material. The tools are able to cut any composite material, no matter how thick or thin, without chipping or tearing. So now I'll cut some very thin fiberglass sheet to show you just how effective these tools really are. You can see exactly how thin this material is, and even though I'm using the coarse Perma-Grit, this will cut this without chipping or tearing. There we go, we can see quite clearly it hasn't chipped the material at all. If you recall, we mentioned spar slotters earlier on in the video, and I'll now demonstrate a 6mm spar slotter cutting some balsa wood extremely accurately. As you may remember, the grit is only on one face of this tool. No grit on the side, so it's forced to cut a perfect 6mm slot. So here we go on a piece of balsa wood to demonstrate. And now you can see this tool has cut the perfect slot because it cannot cut sideways due to the fact it has a safe edge both sides. Now let's take a look at the tungsten carbide cutoff discs fitted to a Dremel, and we'll cut various materials with this product. So as we can see, the cut-off disc will cut a wide range of materials without chipping or tearing. And remember, unlike the conventional disc, you're very unlikely to snap this one. We'll now cut a similar type of materials using one of the rotary burrs. The one I've selected is the drum, which, if you recall, will cut on the end face. So here we have a piece of polystyrene foam. Using the drum, I'll hollow out a small hole. This has actually done a very clean cut and a smooth face on the bottom. Can be used for cutting out wheel wells and servo trays. We'll now use the tool to cut the other products that I cut earlier with the cutting disc. Notice on all these materials it cuts cleanly without chipping or tearing, be it the carbon fibre, plexiglass, plywood or the foam. So finally, let's have a look at the sanding block, cutting a couple of materials. First of all, we're going to cut some polystyrene foam. That's with the coarse side. Flip the block over for the fine. 2 or 3 good strokes, and there we can see it's cut it perfectly. And one of the best uses for the sanding block is for truing up edges, especially leading edges and trailing edges of control surfaces. Here we have a mould which has been taken from a Sukhoi 35 model jet, and as you can see on the leading edge it has some flash from the mould. Using the sanding block we can easily remove this very accurately. The Perma-Grit tools have been designed not to clog or load up when sanding materials. We've used a very open grit structure on all the products. However, inevitably people sand wet glue, wet paint, wet resin, and you're going to get the thing clogged up eventually. Well, we're often asked, how do you clean the product? And it's actually a very simple thing to do. You can use thinners or anything you like, but the best thing to use is a good quality paint stripper. Let's have a go at cleaning one right now that's been in the workshop some time and needs cleaning. Now this block has been around quite some time, and as we can see it's got bits of filler and resin on the surface. So what we're going to do is clean one section of it quickly with the paint stripper, and let's just see exactly how effective it really is. Now all you need to do is pour a small amount of paint stripper onto the surface of the tool. Generally I do this inside a sink because that way any bits or splashes are contained in the sink unit, and then afterwards you can just clean it with some warm soapy water. So what you need to do is just stipple on the paint stripper over the surface, lightly covering the whole area like that. Okay, we'll just do it up to there so you can actually see the difference that it's going to make. The thing about the paint stripper is it's quite thick, therefore it stays exactly where you put it. Unlike using thinners, it doesn't evaporate and sticks to the surface very nicely. This can then be left for 10 to 15 minutes to attack and soften all the filler, glue, paint or any material that you get on the surface. The other point to mention about the paint stripper is it's so thick that it doesn't actually attack the adhesive which is holding the thin strip of tungsten carbide grit to the aluminium block. So having applied the paint stripper, what we're going to do now is put it on one side and leave it for 10 to 15 minutes to allow it to soften all the contaminants on the surface. Right, so here we are after 10 to 15 minutes and the paint stripper's probably done its work. So it's time just to clean the block off now with warm soapy water. Right, so into the soapy water, small scrubbing brush, and all we need to do now is remove the paint stripper by lightly brushing, and straight away we can see that this is coming much cleaner than it was before. The coppery appearance you can see is actually the braze that's used to hold the tungsten carbide grit in place. So although it may change colour, it won't actually detract from the tool at all, the use of the tool. So one final scrub, that's it. And then all we have to do now is let that dry and it's ready for use again. Generally, in modelling use, you only have to clean the tools once every 6 months unless you sand a lot of wet glue, but you might have to do it every week. But most customers only do it once every 6 months. It will never detract from the tool and you can clean it as many times as you like. We're really proud of our product and we hope you enjoy using them. Thanks for watching and maybe we'll see you at one of the shows sometime. Thank you, goodbye.